What's up guys, my name is Sergey, welcome to my channel. Usually I publish videos about history here, but since I've used English in some of my videos, I decided to make a separate video explaining to you why I speak American English without having any relation to North America. Now, I wasn't born in North America, I've never been to North America, the same goes for my parents. My parents, like myself, were born in the Soviet Union actually. I was born shortly before the collapse of the USSR, which happened in 1991. More specifically, I was born in Estonia, so I also speak Estonian. Well, English had been one of the most difficult subjects for me throughout the first 5 years of school. Even today, I remember how unnatural it was to learn that, for example, the words go and went, in spite of their completely different spelling and pronunciation, are actually the same verb. So what was it that turned it around for me? What was it that allowed me to embrace English? The turning point was when my family moved to a new apartment and we bought a new TV. It was in August 2001. With that purchase, I was finally able to watch Cartoon Network. I had heard about Cartoon Network, this amazing channel that showed cartoons all day from my classmates, prior to moving. And when I finally got a chance to watch those cartoons, I was super excited. So very quickly, I got into the habit of coming home from school and watching cartoons for hours on end. It was, I think, in 2002 when I realized that I can speak American English, that when I speak English, I kind of sound like the cartoon characters on the screen. So what actually happened? My feeling was that most of it had to do with repetition. Repetition in two ways. First of all, it was me repeating the catchphrases, the lines, the catchphrases of my favorite characters. You know how when you're really into a character from some franchise, you're naturally trying to imitate that character? I think today we see that mostly manifesting in cosplay. For me, as a kid, I liked to emulate how my favorite characters from my favorite cartoons sounded. Another thing was repetition in the sense of reruns. Now, I don't know what's the situation with Cartoon Network today. I haven't been following that channel for quite a few years now, but at least at the time in the 2000s, and at least here in Europe, Cartoon Network was all about reruns, which meant that as someone who watched cartoons constantly, I would inevitably have to watch the same cartoon, the same episode of the same show several times throughout the week, sometimes even several times a day. Of course, it did make for repetitive viewing, kind of monotonous viewing, but at the same time, for educational purposes, it was great because essentially I had native speakers of English, the voice actors voicing the characters. I had native speakers of English repeat English vocabulary to me several times in a week. And that was really beneficial. Another useful thing was me receiving this English-Russian, Russian-English dictionary as a Christmas gift in, I think, also 2001. Every time I would encounter an unfamiliar word while watching a cartoon, I would look it up in this dictionary. So this was also very useful. It's also important to pick up on the cultural references, on the historical references. That's how I learned about the creation of the American flag, or about Lewis and Clark, by watching Time Squad, one of the lesser known, I want to say, hidden gems among the Cartoon Network shows. I would also like to point out in this video that I'm in no way claiming that I speak American English or English as well as people who were born in the States or in Canada or in any other English-speaking country. I definitely cannot speak English on the level of the people who were born in those countries or who were raised by Americans or Canadians. I feel that my vocabulary is much more limited than theirs. Nevertheless, I hope that this video has been interesting and insightful. Hopefully, it's able to offer you some interesting tips on language learning. Please check out my other content. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.